Democracy and the schools. Schools in the first decade of the 20th century largely held to the elements of a so-called liberal education. Preparation for college was the intended outcome, an outcome serving fewer than 10% of the population at that time. Liberal education was not concerned with making efficient producers, although it did indirectly contribute to that end. Rather, it concerned itself with consuming. Snedden, 1910. At the same time, opportunities to work were very attractive to those youth who saw little value in further schooling. For those who chose to leave school to enter the workforce, and the numbers were large, there had been little or no preparation for work. Typically, youth left the public schools by the age of 14, and less than half of these completed the 6th grade. School attendance laws for persons older than 14 were just beginning to emerge. Schools did not adequately serve the needs of youth. The equality of opportunity in the system of education at that time was not afforded to the mass of children. Although the schools were freely open to every child, the aims and purposes of the schools were such that a majority of the children were unable to take advantage of schooling beyond a certain grade, and hence did not secure, at public expense, a preparation for their work in life. Schools were planned for only the few who were preparing for college rather than the large number who would go into industry. Advocates of vocational education in the public schools believed that vocational education would make the schools more democratic. "The American school will become truly democratic," said Prosser, "when we learn to train all kinds of men, in all kinds of ways, for all kinds of things." Establishing vocational training as an alternative for those who were leaving schools at 14 years of age would, it was hoped, vastly extend general education, provide a reason for the continued school attendance of more persons 14 years of age and older, and democratize education. Several additional benefits were expected as vocational education became a part of the system of public education. Not only would schools be meaningful for more students, but education for employment would help extend the years of education, thus increasing the level of citizenship of those persons. Vocational education would also make for greater efficiency in production and increase the wage-earning ability of youth, both boys and girls, by helping them move from non-educative occupations as unskilled laborers to positions as skilled workers sought after by industry. Similarly, training in the scientific principles of farming and the household occupations would contribute to greater efficiency in farming and would strengthen the home. Marshall, 1907. It was also believed that vocational training was needed for its indirect but positive effect on the aims and methods of general education. Accordingly, vocational education would develop better teaching processes through which children who did not respond to book instruction might be reached and educated through learning by doing. It would also introduce to the educational system the aim of utility, which would take a place in dignity at the side of culture, and would connect education with life by making it purposeful and useful. Dewey, 1916, saw occupations as central to educational activity. He did, however, express concern about any form of vocational education that would tend to continue the present forms of education for those whose economic status would allow such education, while giving the masses a narrow education for specialized occupations under the control of industry. Dewey believed that education needed change. Vocational education could, according to him, be the means to induce changes that would improve education. According to Dewey, a right educational use of vocational education would react upon intelligence and interest so as to modify, in connection with legislation and administration, the socially obnoxious features of the present industrial and commercial order. It would turn the increasing fund of social sympathy to constructive account, instead of leaving it a somewhat blind philanthropic sentiment. It would give those who engage in industrial callings desire and ability to share in social control, an ability to become masters of their industrial fate. It would enable them to saturate with meaning the technical and mechanical features which are so marked a feature of our machine system of production and distribution. 1916. Worth, 1972, treats this controversy in detail and labels Prosser's and Snedden's economic philosophy as social Darwinism. whereas others have felt that Dewey allowed his socialistic tendencies to obscure some of his preferences regarding schooling. However, the controversy seemed aimed more at why and how vocational education should be developed rather than at the question of whether or not it was needed. The why and how questions are just as important today as they were then, but as a matter of historical record, the evidence shows that vocational education emerged as a result of a real concern for youth and of the failure of the schools to provide an educational program that was both attractive to them and fitted to their needs. For more, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell for you to be updated. See you in the next video. Also like our video, if you really like it. Bye. Have a great day everyone.